All right, we are live. As always, for those who are watching the replay, skip 5 or 6 minutes ahead. That's when we officially start. I give everybody about a 5-minute grace period to get in so we can all start at the same time. All right. Let's get this set up here. And there we go. Hey, welcome, Louis. Welcome, Emmanuel. Glad to have you guys here with us. We'll give everybody about 4 or 5 minutes to join in, and then we will officially start. Let's bring this up real quick as I wait for people to join in. How was everybody's week? At least for those who are here. Hope my typing isn't obnoxious. Sending some messages right now. Ups and downs. John, we'll definitely go over that when we start. Definitely give me your trades. Did you trade options or futures, John? Option 0 DTE. Oh, we'll definitely go over that later on. I'm curious on what you did. Hey, Emmanuel. So essentially at 7:05, pretty much in 2 minutes when we start, I'll go over my trades first that I took today. And then from there, excuse me, from there, I'll go over any trades that anybody wants to go over, and I'll review what options, futures, really doesn't matter, honestly. And I'll review and give feedback and see what they did well, what they didn't do well, and then, we'll go from there to improve. All right. Hey, Kevin, I sent that email. You should have gotten it recently. Hey, Z, glad to see you. Hope your week went well. All right, we'll start in a minute. Let me just send these last messages for the stragglers. All right. Who else? All right, let's see who is missing. All right, I think that should be everybody. Hey, Ashley. Miss Goldilocks over here. That saying you said yesterday was fantastic. I think it was like trading indices in the morning and then collecting gold at night. That was good. I got to write it down. All right, let me stop with the banter. Let's get into character. Welcome, everybody. My name is Advent. Well, not I've been, I'm a trader for more than or almost half a decade now. If you are new to these trade recaps, actually, before I say that, I'm not a financial advisor. Anything that we go over in this session and any of my other content is strictly for educational purposes only. It is not to be taken as financial advice. Trading does have its risks, so please do your research before you engage in trading. So, for those who are new to the trade recap class that we have every 7 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube channel live every single week, this is essentially, I'll go over my trades and we'll review my trades live, at least, on what happened today. And then after I'm done with my trades, you can share your trades and I'll give you feedback, what can be improved upon, what you did well, what you didn't do well, so on and so forth, to help you guys out. And then we can also go over some topics here and there, depending what I want to go over. Just so we're all on the same page, any questions that you do ask me, let's just keep it in relation to the context of today, which is reviewing the trades. If you want any specific insight or a question answered that is outside of today's context, you're more than welcome to book a session or a free discovery call to see how I can better assist you. Or wait until I have my free group coaching classes once a month. So, with all that being said, let's bring up these charts. Give me 1 second here. Let's move that over. And let's bring this up. Screen 2. And before I officially begin, for those who are in here, I require at least 50% participation. So if you have not hit the like button or the thumbs up button, please go ahead and do that. Since I am giving you guys a free class, all I ask for in return is just a thumbs up button, a simple click of a button. So cool. Let me know if you guys can see my chart. And if you can see my screen. Give me a yes in the chat so I know we're on the same page. Hey, Kevin, the same link that you used to join us, that'll be the same link to watch the recording. Thanks for stopping by. So before I go over my trade, just want to shout some people out. Shout out to Master PK. You're doing a phenomenal job. He finally got back his account in green since we started working together by following his plan and his rules and really just taking the same setups every single day that it appeared. So great job. And anybody else that I want to shout out that I can think of? Shout out Mike. Mikey, if you're in here, shout out to you. Pretty much took the exact same setups that I took today, and we didn't even talk. So great job that you can identify them and take them when you need to. So fantastic work there. Shout out to Ro. I know you're driving, Ro, so please keep an eye on the road in front of you and just catch the recording and just listen. Ro, fantastic job this month. Pretty much just been going over what we spoke about and ended green for the month. Great job. Only taking, I think, 2 or 3 setups that we went over and only trading IWM. Great stuff. All right. We'll stop the celebration for now and get on with the session. So my first trade of the day today, this is YM on the 4-hour chart, specifically with regular trading hours. I don't use extended trading hours when taking strat setups for futures or options. So this specific setup was a 2-on-2 up setup on the 4-hour time frame. So this specific setup, I've seen that generally a 50-point stop loss, it won't hit my stop loss when it triggers. And my max target is usually 100 points. Sometimes I'll leave a runner to see if I can squeeze some more, but I'm definitely happy with a 100-point gain on YM. I'll tell you that. So this first trade, I took it up here. My first take profit, I usually take profit at 30 to 50 points. The one today, I took my first contract off at 30 points at my first target there. And then my second contract, I took it off when it continued going up to 100 points. I have my trailing stop loss kick in, and it follows me up until it hits either 100 points or until the trailing stop takes me out, whichever comes first. In this case, YM was super bullish this morning, and it just went straight to my max target of 100 points. Granted, while it did go a little salty, but hey, I'm grateful for what I got. It did hit the first strat target at 156 points, and then it pretty much just continued to the other targets we have over here, these highs. And man, 350 points, oof, I would have been on a plane like Ashley. It hit what, 400 and something? Beautiful. But yeah, this was the first trade I got, 100 points, super solid start to the day. And then because I didn't have any runner position to continue catching the move up, what I did was I went down to the 5-minute time frame and I looked for a TTO on the, let me get rid of this. I looked for a TTO on the 5-minute time frame, which we got right here. Let me just adjust this real quick. A TTO, for those who don't know, is simply just corrective activity or a pullback before it continues in the trend. So the specific trade, I went long as soon as this 5-minute candle reversed back bullish into bullish continuity, because the daily's green, the 4 hours green, and the 1 hour's green. So I'm taking a bullish reversal back into the trend. My stop loss was under this candle right there, so about 61-point loss. My max target for the TTO is the completed TTO, which is right up here at this wick at 75 points. For this specific setup, you can leave a runner position because it usually continues going up, which it did here. It did pull back though. So this trade here, my runner would have been stopped out at break even. But this trade here was my second trade. I took a contract off here at the first target, previous candle high at 38 points. And then I took the second one off at 75, and that was pretty much it. I stopped trading after that. I was super happy with those gains. And to be transparent, I did get emotional I wouldn't say in a good way. I would say in the bad way, that I was like super hyped and super excited. I was talking to my cousin because he texted me literally when that same pattern formed. He's like, yo, there's a TTO on YM. I'm like, I know, I'm about to take it. He took it with me. I was hyped. He was hyped. So I called him. I'm like, all right, let's shut it down and let's not get on the charts anymore, because we cannot trade when we're this happy, because that can be detrimental to our trading as well. Because the same way you can overtrade when you're revenge trading, the same way you can overtrade when you're happy or in a good mood. So once I saw that in myself, I knew he was definitely going through it in the same way that I was. So I made sure that he shut everything down at the same time with me, because he wanted to continue to take some more trades. So overall, super solid day. That's all I took today myself, just those 2 trades. I was happy with that, and I just shut it down. While there were some other good trades that appeared, me personally, if the setup is there, again, I'm happy with what I got. I pretty much made 2 days worth of profit of like my usual daily goal in 40 minutes. So super happy with that. And I just shut it down. And it's Friday. I'd rather end the day early and not stay until 12 noon and, save that mental capital. Cool. So actually another trade that I took, this is what I took on futures. What I took on options today was Tesla on the 4-hour time frame. Let me zoom this out real quick. So I took this 212 down on Tesla once it triggered down on the 4-hour. And I only held it to target 2, which gave me, I think it was like 50 to 75% gain, if I recall correctly. And then I just ignored it because I wanted to go back to futures and mainly focus on that. So pretty solid trade. It did hit a lot more of my targets, but I just took it off early. I only really had 2 contracts anyway, since I didn't want to babysit it. On my watch list, which for those who know, I give you all the levels here. So if we look to the chart, let's actually label this, see if we can get this. So 219.17 is target 1. Let's bring this down. Second target 218, which is where I personally took it off at. And then the other target 216.35, so on and so forth. 216.35, which was right above this wick. Yeah, so I ended up hitting 3 targets. It didn't hit the 4th target that I had at 213.25. Nonetheless, solid trade. For those who did take it, if you did hold to that 3rd target, congratulations. That's easily 100% move on the contracts. So great job for those who took it or who didn't take it. There's always next week. And we have another 2-1 setup for Monday. So we'll see what happens then. See if the market wants to bless us as it did today. But yeah, those are the trades that I took. Any questions that you guys have on that before I go over your trades? Hey, trade maker, welcome. If you just got in, TTOs. All right, so TTOs and trade, definitely go over my TTO video in the strat playlist. But to give you a quick little breakdown, for TTOs, when there's a bullish one, you're going to be looking for something like this: a move up, a pullback, and it forms kind of like a triangle, right? As we can see here, and then it continues heading up. So if we look at the trade that I took today, we get the push up, we get the push down, and then we get the reversal back up. It forms kind of like a triangle, and then you take the reversal back up. And then when there's a bearish TTO, which is basically just an H pattern, a lowercase h pattern, that's how you can kind of visualize it in your head. I look for these on the 5-minute and the 15-minute. You can find them on higher time frames. For example, let's check out RTY real quick. Yeah, so even RTY right here, we have a TTO on the 4-hour time frame. Push up, push down. You could have went long on this 3 up right here, and you would have caught all of this. That's what, from that entry, assuming you swung, which I would never swing, that's about 50-something points. But even then, that first day that it triggered 3 up, you would have gotten at least even 30 points. That would have been a beautiful trade. And then the next day, you take the continuation up. RTY has been doing you dirty. Yeah, you have to be a little, for RTY, I like to trade the higher time frames. I don't really trade the lower time frames that much unless it's like a hammer or a shooter off of broader information. Otherwise, I just prefer similar to YM, the 4-hour entries, the 5-minute, 15-minute, and that's pretty much it, honestly. But yeah, TTOs, you can see them on any time frame. It's just on the higher time frames, they won't print as much. So like even here, we have a bearish TTO. Push down, push up, H pattern to the downside. So you'll see these patterns everywhere. And TTOs, for those who don't know, what they're good for is getting in on the trend at the best possible moment, in my opinion, at least with the strat. If you're using ICT concepts or fibs, you can get in a little earlier. But for my strat users, that's pretty much where we'll be entering in on the reversal back into time continuity. Because let's go back to YM. While this morning, while you could have taken the continuation on the 2 minute right here on the 5 minute, just take that continuation up, and you would have caught pretty much all of that before it even pulled back to get us in. Me personally, I just prefer reversals as opposed to continuations. That's why I just prefer to look for TTOs. And then sometimes you'll get where you'll get a continuation up and then it reverses right back down. It doesn't happen all the time. If it's a strong day, it's going to continue up. But again, I'm super picky on the setups that I like to take, so I just stick to TTOs when I'm getting in on the trend. But you're more than welcome to take a regular continuation bar up on the same time frame if you choose to. I would just back test it, journal it, and see how it works. And if it does work, hey, keep it going. This is just what works for me and what I look for. Did that clear it up for you, Trade? TTOs are evening star or morning star reversals. Not necessarily. They can print an evening star or a morning star. It can really be anything, honestly. It can be a hammer. It can be a reverse hammer. It can be a regular inside bar that looks like this. It doesn't matter, honestly. So whether it's an evening star, a hammer, a reverse hammer, a shooter, it doesn't matter. If it prints, I'm going to take that. Let's see if we have a bearish one. Let's go on the 15-minute. Might see a cleaner one. Like even here, we have a bearish TTO on the 15-minute. And you can get in on that 2 up, 2 down reversal on the 15. Anywhere else we have a bearish one that I can see? Yeah, you'll get one like this where it's like a shooter candle right there. You get the push up, the push down, the push up, reverse hammer or shooter candle. You take that 2 down. There was a bearish TTO on the 5-minute in this afternoon on YM. Let's see. Yeah, you can see this as a bearish TTO right here, or an H pattern. I would accept that. Even on the 15-minute, a little cleaner. Push up, push down. Completed H once it broke that low. Great eye, Mooch. Definitely getting better. Yeah, Trade. Essentially, the TTO, if it's a bearish one, it's a failed reversal to the upside. And then if it's a bullish one, it's a failed reversal to the downside where the buyer stepped back in. As True to the Strat explained it, or the analogy he uses, pretty much the bus is coming out, the bus is dropping the kids off, and you don't want to get left behind once it keeps on going. If you want another analogy, you can think of it this way. Market makers, whoever got in long, whoever's getting FOMO and going in long near these highs, market makers are stopping all of them out and getting all that liquidity to take it higher. So whoever went in long and got stopped out, they're getting left behind and market makers are taking price back up. So you can see it that way if you want a different analogy. Cool. All right. Any other questions before we go into your trades that you guys want me to go over? And if there aren't any questions, if you're going to give me any trades that you took, if it's going to be an options trade, please give me this information here that's on the chart. Because if you tell me you went long on Tesla, that does not tell me anything. I need more details. The ticker, strike price, expiration date of the contract, the amount you paid, when you got in, when you got out, and the setup that you took. For futures, it's more straightforward, or Forex, when you went long, when you went short, when you got in, when you got out. And TradeMaker, once you start to see those TTOs, they're super easy to spot, because if it is going to be a trend day, there's going to be a TTO. You just have to wait for it. And that's it. So any trades that you guys took today, put it in the chat so I can review and go over with you. Everybody won their trades today, apparently, if there's nothing for me to review. No trade request, but your outfit on point. Thank you, sir. I had to embrace my Dominican side and wear my polo. This is the, what's the term I'm looking for? This is the usual outfit in the Dominican Republic from last time I went there. You'll see people wearing polos everywhere. Appreciate that. Thank you. I took a mental day today, so no trades. That is, I'm actually happy that you mentioned that, Trade Maker. So as you guys are typing in your trades or any trades that you guys want me to go over, I want to speak on that a little bit. Can I look at the link that you sent? Let's look at your review, Emmanuel. Give me a sec. Trade, I'm going to go back to that because I want to definitely touch up on that. That's super important on what you just mentioned. All right, M&Q short. Let's bring that up.
Order filled.
All right, let's all look at this trade together, and let's speed it up ×2, just so we're not here for a long time. And where is the speed? Let's do ×2. And now, all right, so we'll look at all these trades. We'll look at this trade together. I'll speed it up. Can I do any more than 2? All right, that's 2. The video's 10 minutes long. Let's bring that down and let's review this trade. All right, so we're short NQ, pretty much near market open. We're one contract in for MNQ. Man, I like this. Definitely record your trades. All right, we're short 2 MNQ contracts now. Yeah, that's 2. Yeah, that's 2 MNQ. And then you got stopped out. All right, we're back in the trade with another short near the same level. I don't think this is a top step feature. This individual is just recording their screen from their computer. All right, so we're still short 1. Looks like we're about to enter another one in. All right, so now we have 2 MNQ that we're short. Got stopped out again. All right, we're short again. Examining, making sure the setup is all good. All right, average down or averaged up on the short. We're up 20 points. And we almost complete the H pattern on the 1 minute. We're getting bought back up. All right, we're in 3 contracts now, averaging up on the trade, aiming for that low, 18,934, and the other low there. All right, didn't take profit there, where I would have taken some profit off once the H completed on the 1 minute. We're up almost 30 points. All right, price is reversing. Looking to scale out of the position, looks like. Still hasn't taken profit, up 30 points on NQ or MNQ. About to come back to break even and to entry. Still haven't taken profit yet or trimmed any positions. All right, we're back negative from being green, 30 points. All right, cool. And then that's when the max loss kicked in. Cool. So to review this trade, as we spoke before, what I would say, that's why I'm a big advocate of back testing specific setups so we can see the average stop loss and the average win percentage, right? Or the average points. So looking at this specific trade, let me bring up NQ or MNQ on my chart so I can move around and stuff. So we got the 1 minute. So this was, all right, let's go back to market open. This was today? Oh, right, I don't have extended data on. Let's go to extended hours so I can see the full picture. All right, 9:30 a.m., where are you? We are right here. All right, perfect. Right here. All right, so this was the trade area from that video that we all just watched. Let me just highlight it so we don't lose it. pretty much, I believe it was it this? 932. No, it was this right here. And then he got stopped out on this big move up. All right. So this specific trade here, as always, I'm a big advocate of back testing your setups to see what an average stop loss is and what an average win is. So what I would have done in this specific trade is your entries were great because that's where I would have shorted. Not exactly when you would have shorted, but what I would have done here, I would have caught this bearish TTO or H pattern like this. So as we just went over earlier, we get the move down, push up, continue to move down, and it completed the bearish H once it broke that low right there. So for this specific trade, I would have taken profit as soon as it broke or it hit this level here. I think at that point, you were up 20 to 25 points on MNQ, which is phenomenal. Like that's, to me personally, that's amazing, being up that much. My goal every time I traded NQ was 20 to 25 points a day. And you pretty much hit that in what, 5 minutes, 6 minutes? So me personally, I would have taken profit. First I would have entered in here using the strat. So right there, my stop loss would have been above the TTL's high, which would have been this wick there. And then my max target would have been down here at that break of that candle. And of course, you can leave a runner position to get some more juice out of the trade. But this is how my trade would have looked for this specific setup right here. So I would have entered in as soon as this candle reversed back down bearish. So I would have entered in right here. I would have taken profit at this wick here, trim the position there, trim another position at the completed H pattern, and then you can leave a runner position and see if you get stopped out in more profit or not. So for me, for that specific trade, I would have taken profit at least if you were holding the full position, at least trim some off at the completed H once that structure broke right there. And then for me, another thing that was a big no-no, if I'm up 30 points or so, well, I'll be fair. If I'm up and it hasn't hit my target, then I would not get out at break even. However, in this case, it hit a target and then it went back red and that position was a loser when it should have been a winner. So that'll be my feedback there. So if you are going to take a trade like this, I would always at least take profit once it breaks structure. And even if it's on the bullish side, so let's say even if we were to take, I don't know, let's say we took a bullish TTO, like we have one here, the pull up, the push down, the push up, I would have entered in here, take some profit off there once it completes. And then, you can leave a runner position to see how much more you can get, how much more juice you can get off that trade. So overall, for this specific trade, I know you and I trade differently, but that's how I would have done that trade. Your entry and my entry were very close to each other. But the biggest thing that I would knock off some points for is it completed that structure area, and then you let it go back red against you when you were up 30 points, which to me is a lot for NQ in general. And then for your other levels that you had on the 15-minute time frame, where was this morning's candle? I think you had some levels down here, like this level. Yeah, 18934 around there. So you were aiming for this liquidity and that liquidity. So what I would have done is take some of my position off once that H pattern got completed this morning. Wherever it is, I lost it again. Did I delete the box? I did delete the box. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I would have taken some profit off here, set a stop at break even for my runner, and then I would have let it, I would have put a take profit at this level and a stop loss at break even, and then I could just let the trade manage itself. I don't need to babysit it anymore. So that's what I would have done for that specific trade. But again, thankfully, we had the hard stop, the hard limit on the account so we don't fall into over trading and things like that. So what I would say in this case, what I would do for the future, definitely take profit once a structure breaks. While we can go for these good moves, like you entered what, around here? That's about almost 180 points on NQ. That's almost half its ATR. We would have to have a really bearish day for it to hit that. So going for big home runs like this, for me personally, I don't necessarily like, because again, the goal here is to get base hits. $100 a day is $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. So again, we want to get base hits because they add up. If we do get a really good day, or we get a runner that hits 180, 200 points, whatever it may be, that's phenomenal. That's great. That's icing on the cake. But again, the biggest thing is we want to be consistent with, we want to be consistent with getting proper base hits and not only going for home runs. You would get out at break even if hit your target. Yeah, so pretty much this is how I manage my trades, Emmanuel. Let's say in this case that I had 3 contracts, right? For MNQ. I think you had 3 contracts at the peak when you averaged into the trade. So this will be my entry. Let me bring this back. So my short entry is here, my stop loss is up there, and then my max target for the H pattern, if that's what I'm looking for, is going to be down here. So I would trim 2 contracts once this is broken. So now I secured some profit on those contracts, and then I'm going to move my stop loss to break even for my runner position. So instead of my stop loss staying up here for my runner, now it's a risk-free trade. Now the trade is not going to lose any money if it does go against me. In this case, if my next target for my runner was all the way down here at this liquidity level, if it doesn't hit that and it comes back, then it's a risk-free trade. I don't lose any money. I secure my profit and keep it pushing for the net and look for another setup. Did that make sense on how I would manage that trade in the sense of trimming and then moving my stop to break even? Oh, how? Great question. So the way I would manage it, are you asking how, like technically, like how I would actually input it into the program? So if I'm understanding your question correctly, I think your average was something like this as you scaled into the position. Your average was down here, something like that. You had 3 contracts at this average around here. Once it hit this, I would have taken 2 of the contracts off. And then for my remaining contract, you would have to, since you didn't have your bracket orders set up, you would have to, if it was a short, you would put a buy stop either at your entry or right under it. So if price did come up, it would automatically get you out of the trade by itself. So that's how I would have managed it. Once it hit the target, I would have taken 2 out of 3 contracts off, and then I would place a buy stop near my entry or slightly above. So if it does come back against me, it'll stop me out near break even. So it's a risk-free trade. I don't lose anything. Does that make sense? And I see everybody's other questions. I just want to be clear on this. Yeah, so in this case, Emmanuel, if the trade didn't hit my take profit, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to leave my original stop loss and my original trade there. So let's say, for example, let's go back to YM today. Well, in the recording, I wouldn't say that you were stuck, because if we go back here, when you were, so if we go back here, when you're in for those, was that the 3 trades? Yeah, I think this is the one. So in this case here, this next candle hits the target. So boom, I would have taken 2 contracts off right there. And then the last contract, I place a buy stop right under your entry. So if it comes back against you, it's a risk-free trade. Now, if the trade, if the trade hasn't hit my target or hasn't hit my stop loss, then there's nothing for me to do, because the trade hasn't told me if it's a winning trade or a losing trade yet. So I wouldn't have done anything with it. Does that make sense? In the sense, cool. Excellent. And when you say that you were stuck, what do you mean? Like, were you like frozen? Like almost tilt nature, stuff like that? Gotcha. Yeah, so like I mentioned, if you remember, what were some of your symptoms? Were you like locked in? Were you like not blinking? Were you um were you like fixated on the chart? Because after those 2 losing trades, I'm pretty sure you that kicked in for you. Gotcha. So remember, we have to trade mindfully. We need to know. Yeah, Ashley, the same thing happens to me as I go through my emotional process. So when you catch yourself that you're not even blinking and you're just looking at the chart like this, like a zombie, that's something to pay attention to. And that's why I mentioned breathing practices while you're trading are very important. Because if you're already in the tilt stage, it's already hard to get out of that. So as soon as you feel yourself getting any type of emotional, feeling any type of way, immediately, immediately start doing your breathing practices. And yes, we should be in the zone, but if I'm in the zone, I'm not blankly staring at the chart and just like super focused. To me, I'm not in the zone. I'm tilting right now. Because when I'm in the zone, I'm relaxed. I'm calm. I'm not greedy. I'm not, fearful, etc. I'm not on either side of the spectrum. I'm just neutral. Like when I took the 4-hour trade today, I just took the entry, boom, here's my stop loss, here's my take profit, and then I'm just gonna wait. And that's it. I already had my bracket order set up, so I don't need to babysit the trade. I just needed to wait. Cool, they hit my target. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. The TTO hit, took my profit. That trade is where I would have won on tilt if I stayed on the chart. Because after that trade, I got super excited and I wanted to trade more. So since I know myself, that's when I got off. Because I can tell you for a fact, if I stayed on the charts, I would have taken another trade. But that's not part of my system. Because as soon as I get any type of emotional, whether it's good or bad, that's a red flag that I need to get off the charts and clear my head. In this case, I shut everything down because I was happy with my profits. So being in the zone and blankly staring at your charts like a zombie without blinking, that's not being in the zone. That's being on the movement of tilt. Yeah, exactly. So when you took those losses, because you just said it yourself, you knew that you should have taken some off, but you didn't. Meaning that your emotional brain kicked in already and it was already taking you over. And you already got possessed, as Randy Howell would mention. Because if you were thinking clearly and in the actual zone, you would have been, all right, this broke some structure. Let me take some profit off. Let me make this a risk-free trade. So always important to know the difference between being in the zone and getting possessed. And we don't want to get possessed. And there's always steps before that happens. In this case, the back-to-back losses immediately got you in there. Yeah, definitely go over the material that I sent you from Randy Howell when you can. Yeah, Mooch, definitely record your trades. It's super good. I used to do that myself. That's how I learned. And if you can record yourself visually, that helps a lot too. Because I noticed, I'm like, whoa, every time I'm going on tilt, I stop blinking and I stop breathing. I start taking like short, shallow breaths instead of like proper deep breaths and breathing normally. And then my mouse, I'll grip my mouse super tight and I'll like almost like breaking it. So when I noticed myself that I stopped blinking and stopped trading properly, and I stopped, what's the word I'm looking for? And I stopped breathing properly. That was the first tell for me that I'm on the path of going on tilt. Remember, you always have physical signs before you go tilt. And Emmanuel, what we talked about yesterday about the sweating, for me, it's I stop blinking, my breathing gets erratic or slow, it gets shallow, and then I start sweating. In this case today, after I took my second trade and I started getting super excited, I started sweating. I'm like, oh, this is the last step before I go on tilt. So from there, I completely shut it down, went outside on my balcony, hung out, celebrated my win, and then just hung out and relaxed. And then I started journaling my trades. Yeah, so as soon as I catch myself that I'm not blinking, immediately close my eyes, breathing practices, bring myself back to center. And I like closing my eyes when I do my breathing practice because I'm eliminating the triggers, which is the chart and the market. Because if I'm looking at it, but I'm doing my breathing practices, I'm still receiving the trigger in my my viewpoint. So for me, I close my eyes, I do my breathing practices. That way I'm not in front of the trigger anymore. And if need be, I'll just go out to my balcony and do it there. That way I'm completely out of my trading station and I'm outside getting fresh air. It helps, bring myself back down a lot quicker. While you are in a trade. Remember, that's why I told you and I advocate for using a hard stop loss and a hard take profit. Because if you don't, then you need to stay in front of your computer. Because if you go away for 5 minutes and you come back, you might be down like 50 points. That's why I always say, remember, you need to back test your setups, see what the average stop loss is, what the average win rate is, so you can automate your trades. Because that setup that you took, if on average, if it hits more than 50 points, and you know for a fact if it's more than 50 points, that's a loss, then you can just set the computer to take 50-point loss maximum, and then you can set it to take profit every 30, 50 points in your favor, because you know if it hits at least 50 points, then it's a winning trade. Because if you leave a trade with no stop loss and you're just raw dogging it and doing it manually, it's gonna be a lot more mentally challenging for your brain not to go into fight or flight mode immediately. Cool. Hopefully that made sense. All right, let me get some other questions. TradeMaker, I want to come back to your mental day today. I'll keep that after I go over the other questions because I want to spend more time on that than these questions. Let's see. Let's go over some trades. David, if you're still in here, you took IWM calls. David, if you are still in here, if you can give me more details, like I mentioned earlier, if you're going to give me a trade to look at, where is this thing? If you're going to give me a trade to look at, I need this information for an options trade. You telling me that you took IWM calls expiring today doesn't tell me anything. I don't know when you got in. I don't know what strike price. Well, you told me the strike price. I don't know what time you got in. I don't know what time you got out. I don't know the setup. I don't know how much you paid for the contract. So if you can give me more details, I can better help you. But with what you gave me, that doesn't tell me anything. Cool. So if you can give me these pieces of information, David, that'll help me a lot so I can better see what you were seeing and follow along step by step on the trade. While you're giving me that information, I'll go to another question real quick. Austin said, is it best to scale into a trade rather than go in with more contracts? So that depends, Austin. For me personally, once I get into a trade, that's my trade. If I get in with 2 contracts, that's it. I'm not adding more. I'm not taking off less per se. I'll trim. But once I get in, I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose. And that's it. Now, if you want to add more to your winning position, depending if your setup allows, you can definitely add more to it if that works for you. For me, I just get in with my full position and I'm either going to win or I'm going to lose. I don't average down at all. I personally don't believe in averaging down. It's either yes or no when you get into the trade. Again, in my opinion, if it works for you, please keep on doing it. Raw is not law when it comes to trading. Definitely not. Never want to raw the market because it will return the favor tenfold. I'll tell you that. Austin said that happened to me last night in the Asia session and you lost 1K. I forgot what I was saying during that process, Austin, if you can remind me. All right, so let's look at this IWM trade together. Let's go to Think or Swim. Give me a sec here. Let me just bring this over. All right, so let's go to IWM. What time frame were you looking at IWM and what time did you enter in? If you can give me Eastern time, that would help me better. All right, so IWM, let's go to 225, expiring today. Send that to blue. I have IWM on the top right, and then the contract is on the bottom right. Let's make this a little prettier and get rid of all this information. Let's move my laptop so I can see this better because it's in the way of my other screen. All right, you entered at 10 a.m. Were you trading a strat setup or did you just kind of see something else when you entered in on that trade? And was this a winning trade or was it a losing trade? And how much did you get out for? So you entered at 9:45 Eastern. Wait. So did you enter in at 10 a.m. or did you enter in at 9:45? Because those are two very different times. All right, cool. So you lost the trade. So you enter. So just to be clear, did you enter in at 10 a.m. or did you enter in at 9:45? All right, you got in at 9:45. So this is already a poor trade in my eyes, and I'll tell you why. Granted, before I go into that, what was your target and where was your stop loss? What price were you aiming on IWM chart? And where was your stop loss in relation to the chart? So what price on IWM were you targeting once you got in that contract at 81? My target was for IWM to hit 226. Any specific reason why that was your target? Were you looking at the chart for that target, or did you just want it to hit 226? Gotcha. So it sounds like for this specific trade, you got in pretty much on this candle right here on the 5-minute at 940-ish, since you entered at 81, which is pretty much the tail end wick of this candle on the contract. This contract went 142, which was almost 50% gain. You were using fibs. So strong volume in the morning. That's super interesting because I haven't used volume in like 2 years. I don't even look at volume. As you can see, I don't have it on my charts because to me, I don't need it. Price is going to tell me what's going to happen. So one thing that you want to, and this is just my opinion, with IWM, it usually moves about $3 a day. So if I'm going to be trading IWM, granted, I'm going to have specific targets based on the time frame that I'm on. If I'm going to get into IWM and I get in at 224 to go for $2 up, that's a huge move on IWM. $2 is more than 50% of its ATR. So we have to be careful because if we're going for big moves, then it can be a little challenging in the sense of it even hitting that, because it may not at first target more than 50% ATR can be a little challenging sometimes. So in this specific trade, you pretty much got in like at the bottom wick of this candle for the contract, and it went to a peak of about 145, which was like probably 40% gain. What I would have done personally, I would probably have taken profit or trimmed my position every 60, 70 cents on IWM. That's probably what I would have done. In this case, if you got in around, let's go back on the 5-minute. If you got in around 223.51, my first target was at 51, let's say 224.25. Basically, this candle coming back up. So 81, I would have taken some profit around 110, 115 for the contract. And then I would have set a stop loss at break even. And then again, I would have taken profit at the next level, which would have been about $25, which would have been on, what was it, this candle? No, this candle here would have been my next trim when it hit 225, which in the contract was about 140-ish, give or take. And then from there, I would have moved my stop loss to my first target if I have any runners. So if I got out at, let's say, 110 for my first target, and then I got out at 140, my runner position, I would have moved that stop to 110 on the contract. So if it came back against me, it would stop me out at target 1. So it's a risk-free trade, and at least I'm getting something on the runner position. That's how I would have managed that trade. I probably would have entered in right here on this break to the upside. This is a bullish TTO on IWM on the 5-minute. Not my preferred version, but you can still acceptable off a hammer. My first target's going to be up there. So I probably would have paid about 115 for the contracts. I probably would have taken some off at 135, 136 once it's the target here. And then, just take profit every 60, 75 cents from there. In this case, once it hit high of day and it broke that, it didn't go at least 60 cents more. So I would have just gotten stopped out at break even for the rest of my position. Does IWM have 0 DTE? Yes, it does. Definitely has 0 DTE. Same like SPY. They have expirations every single day of the week. I personally would trade 1 to 2 DTEs if I am going to trade IWM. Cool. Definitely, David. Thank you for sharing that. And again, learning experience. Now we can improve for next time so we don't let this happen again. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your trade. Any trades or any other trades that you guys want me to look over? If you do, post it in the chat. If you did just come into the stream, if you're going to give me an options trade, please provide me with this information down here. If you're going to give me with a futures trade, please provide me with this information up here so I can better review the trade with you. As you guys are placing more trades in the chat for me to review, if any, I want to circle back to Trade Makers, or Trading is a Lifestyle on YouTube. His comment, let's see. He took a mental day off. Perfect. So I want to touch up on that. So when it comes to trading, you do not need to trade every single day. It's okay to take a day off. Because remember, trading is another business. It's another job, and it can be very mentally taxing. I'll tell you that from experience. That's why I only trade for 2.5 hours maximum a day, because anything more than that, I'm going to be fried. So it's okay to take a day off. Remember, the market is going to be here next week. It's going to be here in 2 weeks. That's okay. Remember, you are the priority here because you are the one that's going to be trading. If you're not 100% or in a proper frame of mind when you're trading, you're gonna hit roadblocks. You're gonna have some issues. So all that to say, Trade Maker, great job on taking a day off today. I'm going on a mini vacation next week. I'm gonna go to New York to get some of my stuff that I left up there and go see some friends and family. So I'm only gonna trade probably the first 2-3 days next week, and then I'll be gone for a week. Because I'm going to be gone and I'm not going to be here at my usual trading desk, next weekend's trade recap session is going to be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. since I'm going to be in New York on Friday at 7 p.m. So I'll skip next Friday. We're going to have it next Wednesday instead for the next trade recap. And I'll make the recording so you guys are alerted that it's going to be on Wednesday so you don't get caught up. So yeah, all that to say, definitely great to take time off. And if you approach trading and you're like, I don't even want to trade today, or I don't feel like trading, that might be a sign that you need to take some time off. Take a few days off. Take a week off if you need to. Remember, this is just like a regular job where we need time off and time to recoup and refresh ourselves. Because trading every single day for like a year straight, shout out to you guys, whoever can do that. I need some days off sometimes because I'm just not with it. I'm tired and out of it. So all that to say, it's okay to take days off. Do you trade mostly in the first hours of the day? Yes. So I mainly trade the 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern in the New York session. I don't trade pre-market or after hours, Asia, London, all that stuff. I like my sleep. So I only trade 9:30 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern. The only setup that I'll come back to look for in the afternoon is the W trade model, which you can find on my YouTube. I made a playlist actually for you guys. Let me see if I can find this so I can show you guys on the channel. So in the channel, if you go to playlists, I've added some of this thing wants to load. If you go to, oh, there we go, playbook setups. I added this like 2 days ago where I have some trade models that I look for when I'm trading. So you can keep that in mind if you want to look for some setups that I look for. So anyway, the W trade model, that specific trade model I look for, it sets up between 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. in the morning. Or if it doesn't set up there, sometimes it'll set up between 12:40 to 1:15 p.m. Eastern. So after I'm done trading, if I want to look for that specific trade model, if I see it setting up around 1 p.m., I'll take it. If I don't see it setting up by 1, I just completely get off for the day. So yeah, to answer your question, only the morning time. Because again, based on my journaling, I make most of my money in the first half of the day. If I trade in the afternoon, besides that setup, I'm usually giving money back or losing trades. So it only makes sense to trade when you make the most money. And if you're trading all day, me personally, I don't believe that the more you trade, the more money you make, because the more you trade throughout the day, you're using more mental capital and you're getting more mentally fatigued, which can cause you to make mistakes. So go back on your journals and see where you make most of your money, either in the morning or in the evening. And whichever one makes you the most money, just stick with that. Stick to what works. Bring us some pizza and cheesecake. I got you. I'll bring that New York cheesecake. Man, I do miss New York pizza, I'll tell you that. They give you those freaking gigantic slices for like $2. Delicious. Cool. So doesn't look like there's any other trades that you guys want me to go over. Before we wrap up, what was everybody's biggest takeaway for those who are still here? What was the biggest thing that you learned today? And what was the biggest thing that you took away from today's session? You can type it in the chat. Your biggest takeaway or the biggest thing that you learned today? Type it in the chat. I see a lot of profit in the first 2 hours of market opening. Sometimes I don't take it. So you can look into that, David, based on your journaling and what you just mentioned here. If you do see a lot of profit when you're actually up in a trade, you need to start taking profit, because again, if you're looking for home runs, you're going to have a real hard time in the markets, because the goal here is I rather get $200 a day than try to go for $1,000 a day and ending at zero or negative for the week. Now, if the trade gives me $1,000, hey, that's perfect. But again, I would not be looking for home runs on every single trade. Something to keep in mind. So if it hits your target, definitely take some profit, trim, and then you can move your stop as it goes in your favor, as I do, or whatever works best for you. Because again, remember, every day adds up. Making sure to be in the right state of mind when trading. Absolutely, Louis, I'll tell you that. Because if you are in the wrong frame of mind, it can be detrimental to your trading. I will tell you from experience. This is why I always advocate to you guys, and why, while I do, of course, teach the strategy and technicals, my main reason for even making this channel and being a trader coach is to focus and teach people about the psychology side of trading, because that was never taught to me. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn on my own. And there was a lot of trials and tribulations, I'll tell you that. That's why you'll hear me in a lot of the classes that we have, where I'll try to instill in you guys and the same lessons over and over and over. Take profit when it hits your target. Make sure to follow your plan and your rules, because that's where the money comes from. When you start focusing on the money, and you may be tired, or FOMO, or you're getting enticed, or this or that, or you're being greedy, or you want to make losses back, you're setting yourself up for failure, because every trading day is new. If I ended red $200 yesterday, and I'm in a new trade today that's up $200, and you start thinking, oh, if I exit this trade, then I'll make the loss back yesterday that I lost. And that's bad thinking, in my opinion, because you're still fixated on what happened yesterday. Yesterday is irrelevant. Today's a new day. Because if you take those $200 to break even from yesterday's loss, but the trade goes $400, you missed an extra $200 because you were so focused on yesterday as opposed to what's happening right now. So that could be even a small mindset shift that can be done. I used to do that a lot. Oh, I ended up $300 red yesterday. I'm up $310. Let me take this off right now just so I can be green. And then the trade keeps on going in my favor, and I missed more money, focusing on the money and focusing on what happened the day before. Our only job as traders, besides being risk managers, is to follow the plan. If the trading plan says take profit at this level or trim, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever the market does after that, it's not up to me. If it continues going in my favor, hey, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, it is what it is. I followed my plan and I followed my rules. That's what matters. And if you do that enough times, you'll succeed. I'll give you some examples. Let's see. Let me see my journal. All right. So this month, I've traded for 10, 18 days. I have ended red 6 days. So I'm green 12 days. I'm red 6 days. On those 6 days, I followed my rules. I followed my plan. Still ended red. It is what it is. The market just didn't want to comply. The probability wasn't on my side. I can't control that. I can't control what the market does. I can only control what I do. For those who've been here from the beginning, when I shouted out Master PK, he showed me his journal entries the last 3 weeks. He's ended red twice. So he traded 15 days, ended red twice. He has 13 green days, following his rules and his system. And that's all you need to do. If your setups are high probability, you'll always end up on top, even if you do get losing days. I had another student that I started working with a month ago. He's about to get his first payout from his prop. Following his rules, following his playbook setups, following the system that we created together. So remember, follow your rules, follow your system, and you'll do just fine. When you start focusing on the outcome and the money, that's when you get into trouble, because you're no longer trading, you're focusing on something else. Excellent. Any other big takeaways or anything that you guys learned before we wrap up, before I start talking for 3 more hours? As you guys know, I love this stuff, and I love talking to you guys and sharing my knowledge with you. And if you let me, I'll be here for the 2 hours, but I want to respect your time and your weekend, and let you get back to your friends and family and just take a breather. Excellent. Yeah, Z. So tomorrow, for those who are in the Hungries group, 100Ks group, and in my group, we're gonna have every Saturday at 10 a.m. to 11:30 Eastern. At 10 a.m. Eastern to 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we have the chart and chill session, where pretty much all of us go over our trades, what we're looking at for the week, a trade review similar to this, but more so privately within our groups. So if you are in there, definitely join us if you can. Last week, I think they went for like 3 hours, but I left after like the first hour. I had some stuff to do. So sometimes it's an hour and a half, sometimes it's 2 or 3 hours. So if you do want to go over more information, definitely join us every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. For those who are in my group, I'll post a link, and it's the same link every week. So if you have the link, just save that somewhere. It'll be the exact same link. I have it recurring for like the next 2 years, something like that. Cool. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys, as always, for stopping by. If you are not subscribed yet to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you do subscribe. Again, every like, every view, every comment, everything is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys a lot, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Oh, wait, whoops. Ashley, one big takeaway I'm getting from you is to build my playbook. Oh, yeah, Ashley, we're definitely going to talk about that tomorrow. I'll give you, I'll go over my examples on how I have mine set up to give you like a foundation, and you can improve on that and do whatever you want from there. All right, heading out. Thank you guys. I will see y'all on the internet tomorrow, and enjoy your weekend. Let's keep on winning. Good night.